Take that. I know. Good job. You're smart.
All right. Well, we have now been joined by our Daytona 500 champion, Denny Hamlin, who is the driver of the number 11 FedEx Express Toyota. Denny, I've got a few facts to run through here for you. This is your first Daytona 500 win and your 27th Sprint Cup Series win. This is the 6th time, and you're the 5th driver to have won the Sprint Unlimited and the Daytona 500 in the same season. This is the first Daytona 500 victory for Toyota, and you did all of that with the closest finish in Daytona 500 history. Can you just talk a little bit about what all that means to you?
It's the pinnacle of my career for sure. I haven't got a championship yet, and so this is obviously the biggest win for myself, and it's just the circumstances. I mean, J.D. Gibbs, who found me about 12, 13 years ago. It's his birthday today. He's been so pivotal to myself and my team and supporting me for the last 11 years. FedEx has been such a huge supporter of me throughout my career. It's it's very unusual that the driver and the sponsor have such a great relationship like we have, and they stuck by us, and they're so heavily invested in myself and this sport and this race team. So big for them. Obviously Toyota, it's huge for them getting their first Daytona 500 victory with everything that they've done for this racetrack with that Toyota injector. It's such a huge team victory. Joe Gibbs Racing, he sat over here a week ago and told me all these sidebar races are getting old. Let's go win the real one. And so to win it for the boss after 23 years, it's just there is no better feeling than what I have right now.
All right. We are also joined by our race-winning crew chief, Mike Wheeler. Mike, you've been with this 11 team for several years, and now your first win in the Sprint Cup Series comes as you join Denny on top of the box. Can you talk a little bit about what that means to you?
It's pretty crazy, that's for sure. You work your butt off all these years trying to get to this spot. You put in the hours, you work your guts out and trying to be the best. When you finally get that opportunity to be a crew chief and lead the team, it's really satisfying to see everybody so happy, sponsors so happy between Toyota and FedEx and everybody. Seeing Denny say it's his biggest race and his biggest thing he's got makes me happy. I'm a small part of this. Speed racing is a lot to do with driver, the actual car, and the people that build that car, and with the spotter involved. And I'm just really happy to be a small part of that.
And we are also joined by our winning car owner, Coach Joe Gibbs. Coach, you guys had 3 cars in the top 5, and this is your first Daytona 500 win since 1993. Can you talk a little bit about what that means for you and for the team at Joe Gibbs Racing?
I think just that fact that we worked as hard as we can work. We feel like we got, over the years, we had great drivers and crew chiefs, but it's so hard to put it all together and win. And I'm proud of Mike and Denny. Just a great effort for them to be together just this short period of time and to be able to accomplish what they have is really, I think, an amazing story. You talk about FedEx, you talk about Toyota. When you get a chance to call them, Fred Smith, Mike Glenn, Raj, and you realize our sport is so different in that, you can play basketball, football, and baseball without a sponsor. We can't race without a sponsor. It's a partnership. And certainly you can't race without a great manufacturer like Toyota at our back. So it's a total team effort. And when you get a chance to win something like this, it's so great to call them, thank them for being a part of this, because you wouldn't be here if they hadn't done what they did. So Lord's blessed us with a great experience today, and we're going to enjoy it.
Yeah, and another sidebar to that, I'll just join in, is that it's very underrated, in my opinion, for what FedEx does for our sport. They don't just sponsor our race car. I mean, they sponsor different things on the broadcast. They do countless things with the tracks, sponsor the races themselves. I mean, they just do so much for our sport that I mean, I thank my lucky stars every day that I'm part of the FedEx team, and it's beside myself with it.
We're going to open it up for questions now for Mike, Denny, and Coach. When you get the microphone, please state your name and affiliation, and we'll start over on the far side.
Pete Pistone with MRN.com and SiriusXM NASCAR Radio. Denny, your mom just tweeted out something that you wrote in elementary school.
It is so awesome.
It says, the Daytona 500, and the first sentence is, my wish is to win the Daytona 500. When did you write that, and what does it mean now to have won the Daytona 500?
If I remember right, it was second grade, so I'm probably 7 years old. And I said I wanted to win it. I think you look at the date, it's like February something, 1998. I missed it by a little bit on the date, but I didn't know Mike Wheeler back then, but Kerry Barden was my best friend, so he was going to be my crew chief. Ernie Elliott was going to change my tires, and I wanted my car to look just like Bill Elliott's. So we missed it on a few small details, but I mean, I remember my mom showed me that. I totally forgot about it, but she showed me that picture this week, and it's I don't know, just the things I talked about, being JD's birthday and just our 11th try. It's just everything just came together. It's like, story, but you couldn't have written a better ending to our week.
We're going to go here to Mike.
Mike Neff from frontstretch.com. For Coach Gibbs, there's obviously a lot of emotions that goes into today, because you're not only dealing with winning the Daytona 500 after 23 years, but you had a driver that was leading in turn 4 that came home 14th, and another driver that ended up finishing 3rd who is kicking himself because he didn't jump up in front of that outside line. How do you balance all of those emotions at this moment in time?
I got to tell you, it's extremely hard. You wind up with Denny. You're so happy when you see. I looked up, and actually where I was looking to the broadcast, the cars were coming at me. I thought we lost. And then I looked up, I saw we won. So I went through that emotion. And then you're thinking about, Matt and everything that happens to him. So, we're a team. It's 4 cars, 4 drivers, 4 crew chiefs. We're all together. But, man, you know what a heartbreak that is. I know Denny felt the same way. Kyle said, hey, I was thinking about jumping up there. I didn't. And so it's all those emotions wrapped in that. I think it's just it's a great experience, and it was by a few inches. And so you got to give those guys, the 78 team, just a lot of credit too.
We're going to go to Nate, and then we'll go upstairs for 2 questions before coming back down to Brant and Bob.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Denny, the final pit stop under green when you went from 1st to 7th, did you feel like
I blew it?
Yeah, that you give it away. And then Matt seemed to be really thinking he should have stayed bottom line. Did you feel like that was did you essentially have it handed back to you after you felt like you had given it away?
Yeah, I mean, I got cocky. I mean, I sitting over the radio, I'd beating everyone off pit road. Like every time we've ever had a green flag pit stop or caution, I beat everyone off pit road, and I'm sitting here and I'm the pit road master, and then I come in there and blow it and screw my tires up on the last stop that actually counts. And I think it was. I'm glad I quit thinking, telling Wheels to, hey, I slid him. I don't know which one, and he made a quick audible, and then the preparation was great. My team was ready for anything. We didn't lose that lead draft, even taking 4 tires when everyone in front of us essentially took 2. So my team was ready. The pit crew nailed a great stop to get us out there quick. And, I knew whoever came out with the lead in on that green flag sequence had a great shot, because he had 5 teammates essentially, or 4 teammates right behind him. And we had just talked about, let's get a team victory. I know we all want to win this thing, but if we stick together, we greatly increase our chances of winning this race. And I'm with Joe that, this is a great moment for me, but I feel awful for Matt because he's such a great friend and such a great teammate. But I'm just so proud of all my other teammates for us being so committed to each other for 500 miles today. I mean, that was very rare that you see the selflessness that you saw. Even with 2 laps to go, all of us were committed to essentially pushing that 20 car to a victory. But I saw the 4 coming. I said, if I didn't block his run, he was going to make a run just like I did. And I wanted it to went up there to block, and he hit me so hard it shot me 3 cars forward, and I had to do something with that run. So it's crazy. It happened so fast. I literally had to watch it back to figure out what in the world happened.
If Matt stays low, do you think he
If he stays low, yeah, probably.
You would have been in front of 78.
Yeah, you've been in front of 78. I was coming with a huge run, but I think when he pulled up the racetrack, that he ran a longer distance around the racetrack. Listen, I don't want to second guess what he did because I don't want to make him feel any worse than he probably already does.
We're going to go upstairs to the press box for 2 questions.
Lee Spencer, motorsport.com. Denny, before the race started, you said, Wheels, I appreciate you being back on the box. This is our year. Let's do it. A lot of guys give their teams pep talks like that, but you really sounded like you meant it. Why is this year different than others?
What?
You said, "Oh, it's nice to be back with you."
Oh, because we loaned him the Xfinity shop for a year, and so I mean, this. I don't know when. I don't know what year. I know what year I promised you this job. Oh, 9, 10, and I just said, when down the line we're going to work together, and I know that he had aspirations to be a crew chief in the Cup Series. You can only be a great engineer for so long before other teams are going to come knocking. So Joe gave him that opportunity in the Xfinity Series to, even though I probably promised him the job a little soon, I was happy that Gibbs said, let's just take you through the same process that all of our other crew chiefs have. And I'm glad he was only gone for a year. But honestly, I love all the crew chiefs I've ever worked with. Mike Ford, Darian Grubb, and Dave Rogers, all of them did really great things, and we all did great things together. But there's something about Wheels that I just felt was right, and our communication is right. And I think a lot of it is we're friends first. I mean, him being my crew chief is just it's a mere sidebar for our relationship. So this is one that I'm very proud and happy for him. He's got a new family of his own that he gets to go back to, and this is, like I said, this is my guy.
We have a second question in the press box.
This is Godwin Kelly with the Daytona Beach News Journal for Coach. Coach, back in December when I saw you here, you mentioned the fact that you hadn't won here in 23 years. When Denny won the Sprint Unlimited race, the first thing you said to him was, "This is great, but I'd rather have a 500." Did you have a premonition or something about this?
No, I did not. I was thinking, really trying to be funny, and I said, we won about 7 of the shootouts, and I said, I think we got the wrong game plan here. It's the 500. I was joking with the drivers, but I think the way the week progressed, I think all the guys back at the shop have done a tremendous job, and I think Mike and Denny will say that. We worked extremely hard. I think what happened is we came down, and our cars were all fast. I think we had good cars. Every time I talked to the drivers, they said, "Hey, look, I think we're pretty good." And so obviously there are a lot of other good cars out there, but the way it worked out for us, Denny was right. It was teamwork, and for us to hang together that long, that's one thing about our racing. It restricted plate races. If you could ever do that, it's great. The problem is you can rarely do that, and we did it today. And then at the end, everybody knows when you come off 4, it's going to be a mad break for whoever can get there. And in our case, it wound up by about 6 inches. I really appreciate the fact that we got a chance to experience this. And it was great for us. I had family here. Everybody was here. JD was here, so it was special for all of us. I want to thank everybody back home, too, that works on the cars that don't get to be here, and particularly Toyota. Our partnership there is it's special.
We're going to come back downstairs to Brant, Bob, and then Nick.
Brant James, USA Today Sports. Denny, you come here in 06 as a rookie and sort of announced yourself by winning the Bud Shootout. Now, 10 years later, you get the win that you say is the pinnacle of the career. And, of course, in between, there's been a lot of highs and lows and interesting things that have happened to you. How does the win today put all that stuff in the middle in perspective?
Well, I mean, essentially since, I've won a lot of exhibition races. I've won 6 races here, but never an actual points-paying race. And up until the All-Star win last year, I mean, I've won my fair share of races in the time that I've been doing this, but I hadn't won any big races. I mean, I won the Southern 500. That was the biggest win of my career as far as, stature is concerned. But I hadn't won a championship. I hadn't won the 500, and I hadn't won the Brickyard 400 or the Coke 600. And so, I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel as far as my career is concerned. But I'm in the darkness. I can't see back and I can't see forward. I feel like I'm right in the middle, and I want to get some of these accomplishments done because ultimately you're defined by the big moments. And so that's why this one is so big for us, is that, in me particular, is that, you don't like to be the guy that wins races, but not the big ones, and you don't win a championship. So the championship's the next on the list for us. I mean, I've been so close over my career that, I just feel like I've knocked on the door, and eventually you got to just kick the thing in. And so this is a good start to doing that.
We're going to go to Bob, Nick, and then back up to the press box for a question.
Bob Pockris, ESPN. Denny, how, kind of in a good way, was that kind of ridiculous that you came from 4th on the outside on a day when the outside lane wasn't really working to win this race? And then can you just kind of take us through whether you thought you won? Did they have to tell you won? Just kind of the scenario after you crossed the finish line.
I didn't. I mean, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking at 3 to go, I'm like, if it wasn't my teammates, I'd be making a move right now. And 2 to go, it's like, if it wasn't my teammates, I'd make a move right now. And I can't sit here and preach about teamwork through text messaging to all the crew chiefs and the drivers and, hey guys, let's just stick together. You can't do that and then at the last minute screw it all up and somebody else win the race. And so I can assure you and promise to God too that my plan was to block that 4 car from getting to the front 3. He was coming with such a huge head of steam. He was going to get at least beside the 78. There was no question in my mind about that. And then after that, it was going to be a crapshoot. But, I figured, 1 to go, we cross the white flag. I move up into turn 1 in front of the 4, and I'm thinking that, okay, I've got the top lane covered. The bottom lane is filled with all my Toyota teammates. We're setting pretty good for either JGR or Toyota to get a victory here. And he just kept pushing and hitting the back of my back bumper, and we just kept lunging more and more forward. And next thing you know, I've just got a huge run, and I'm thinking, well, what am I going to do with this? And so, like Kyle said, he didn't move up. I thought for sure the 78 or the 18 would have moved up and stopped that run. They didn't. They were committed to the bottom. And with that huge run, the 20 saw us coming. He moved up so high up the racetrack that I think he took the long way around. And, I had 4 tires from my screw-up earlier, so I just cranked it as far left as I could, and luckily the door didn't close before we got in there. So it just it happened so fast. I had to watch it back to realize exactly what happened. But I had no anticipations of winning this race on the white flag lap. I rarely does that ever happen, especially like you said, the top line had done nothing all day. I didn't know we had won. I knew it was close, and so I saw the pylon change and blink at the last second with the 11, and so I heard on the radio people were all crazy excited, so I assumed we won when that happened. But if not, I was going to be pissed. I was like, I mean, you cannot pump fake someone for a Daytona 500 victory. That would have been bad.
We're going to go to Nick and then up to the press box for one before coming back down to Lewis and Dave. Raise your hand. Can we get a microphone up here? Nick, raise your hand, please.
Nick DeGroot, Motorsport.com. Coach, what was going through your mind on that last corner when Denny and Matt got together, and what did you say to Matt after the race when you went to talk to him?
Well, I really just wanted to kind of listen to him because you don't know if he's really upset or what, but Matt is the consummate teammate, and he knows how to handle things, and he was not upset. He was matter of fact, and he said, man, I was wanting to be the guy that got this for you, and we had a good talk, and he didn't really refer to anything that happened in the race or anything. He just
say anything bad about me.
Yeah, no, just I wouldn't.
Oh God. Oh, shoot.
You don't stay in your motorhome tonight. No, that we joke about it, but for him it wasn't a joke. I mean, it was serious stuff. So. But he was just consummate teammate and everything. For me personally, where I was looking at one of the screens and it was head on to the cars. And honestly, I didn't know what happened, until I looked back and saw it flash, 11 at the top. So it was, for me, I really couldn't tell.
We're going to go upstairs to the press box for a question, then come back down to Lewis, Dave, and Dan.
Bruce Martin with Speed Sport Magazine. Danny, at what point did you visually see Truex's car a little bit ahead of you, and at what point did you visually not see it? And then a follow-up to that.
Well, he was on the inside, so I saw him the entire time. But honestly, I thought off of turn 4, he was in the catbird seat. Usually whoever's a little bit ahead because of the side drafting is got a huge advantage coming to the line. And I saw he was making his side draft move on me, but young Chase Elliott's pretty smart, and he figured out how to hold off Joey yesterday by just kind of grinding his way on that run that Joey was putting. And so I just did the same thing when the 78 was starting to make a run. I just laid on his door and grinded the run off of him. So I'm happy we won because Matt probably would have been really pissed if none of the Gibbs guys would have won it with that last lap move. But I would think no matter what, we always say that we're about the team, but we are also fighting for our sponsors. And this is the last lap of the Daytona 500. This is when I saw a gap open like that, you've got to fill it for your race team. It would be an injustice for them if we didn't.
And this race, you won't see anything like it until you get to Talladega. So it doesn't really have a whole lot to do with the rest of the season. However, you become the first driver to probably grab a spot in the chase. And how much does a win in the Daytona 500 kind of pump you up to go out there and fight for that championship?
A lot. I mean, I know that winning early is big, and me and Mike have talked about this quite a bit, that winning early does so much for your race team. I mean, now we have time to, not like we need to gel, but we can go to work on some different things, I'm sure he has different ideas on setups and stuff, a little bit more out of the box. We can work outside the box when we need to try some different things, because ultimately you need to run well in September and October when it really, really counts. So, this gives us that opportunity.
We're going to come back downstairs and go to Lewis, Dave, and Dan.
Yeah, Louis Frank of Reuters, to your left. There. Earlier, Dave Wilson referred to the importance of Martin Truex, and wondering, personally, you're at Gibbs, and then a couple of years ago, Kenseth joins, and now you've got to be cooperating but competing. And then Carl Edwards comes in, and the same deal, and now you're working with another outside team. Does it feel like, you have a stepbrother that you have to compete with?
He's a tough competitor, for sure, but I'll praise Martin as much as my teammates. I mean, he just did such a great job of committing working with all of us on the restarts. Even the last restart, I mean, you got to think in his position, okay, you got to restart with about 10 to go. And he's like, he committed to letting the 20 get in. And that's so big for us because it allowed all 5 of our cars then to be in a line. So he did a great job of being a good Toyota teammate in that instance. And, I mean, he's a great addition. He's a satellite team, but, we definitely welcome him as a partner of Joe Gibbs Racing. They are our new partners, and Martin's a great talent to have as essentially a new teammate.
Going to go to Dave, Dan, and then Zach.
Dave Coleman, Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. Coach, how do you choose where you're going to be in the race, whose pit box you're going to be on, and where were you? And did you at any point go, boy, these are 4 really strong competitors that they could do something and screw this up for all of us?
Yeah, where I normally go is where we're having the most trouble, and today it was a 19, so I spent quite a bit of time there because those guys did a tremendous job. If that car was tore up pretty good, and to be able to get it back as a number of pit stops, a lot of things we had to do, and I was really proud of our team getting that back, and then Carl to be able to work that car back up to the front was, I think, special. So I normally go where, or sometimes it's for me, it's a sponsor too. If we got certain people there, I might wind up in a different box. But I felt like the second part of the question was,
Were you worried about you got 4 strong?
oh yeah. I think you always be truthful. I worry more lots of times when you got we got our teammates up there. I know how competitive these guys are, and we at different times, at the end like that, all 4 of our guys want to win, and so sometimes, although it's a little bit different here, I would say restrictor plate racing. I worry when we get at a lot of the open tracks and everything where teammates get next to each other. Because I know how competitive they are. Just like Denny said, they all want to win for their sponsor. They got their families here, all that, and it's a lot of pride. And our guys are super competitive, which you expect. So, but I think restrictor plate's probably a little different. You're looking for them to work together.
I'll go to Dan, and then Zach and Matt.
Dan Wetzel, Yahoo Sports for Denny. When you it looked like in Victory Lane when you guys got there that like you and the crew, everyone was trying to figure out what happened. Like you hadn't seen it yet. Was that accurate? You guys were all talking about and trying to piece together this, how the heck we just won this thing?
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure it all out, honestly. But when I did my thing with Fox, I got him to play it back a few times to kind of remember what was going on, because I knew what I saw inside the car, but I couldn't see what was going on at the front when I was trying to block the 4. I didn't see what was going on behind him. I just knew that my immediate reaction was to block the 4 cars run. I had no idea, though, it was going to shove us as far forward as it did. So, I'll still be piecing it together. I mean, I don't think I DVR'd the daggone race at home. So you did.
So you first watched it with the Fox guys.
Yep.
What was your reaction when you made the move to cut down and get past Matt?
That was pretty special. I mean, I gave up the dual win just being a complete bonehead and losing concentration for like 5 seconds, and the 88 got around us. I actually wanted to hear audio back to hear whether my spotter, I was like, did he warn me that was coming? And I was like, yeah, he did. I don't know. Sometimes I guess I lost focus for a second. But today, my eyeballs, I was making sure I didn't blink at all today to not lose concentration. And, it all worked out perfectly. I mean, the last lap, things just worked out perfectly for it to happen like that.
For both Mike and Joe, that pass of Matt, in that all the passes you've seen, and considering we got a quarter of a lap to go, where does that rank, or what are your thoughts on how that works?
When I saw him go inside of the 20, I I was thinking the worst. I said, we're going to take both of our cars, and there's going to be a big one here. And so I was really worried about that. And so that's kind of how I was looking at it. One other thing I wanted to add is Corey came with us this time. He's going to be working a lot on our Cup side too now. So our whole family was here. JD and Melissa and the grandkids were here too. So it's big for our family today.
We're going to go to Zach and then Matt and Peter.
Zach at Tanzvetti, fun stretch. Was there ever a moment you realized during the race that both Tony Stewart and Jeff Gordon were not part of the Daytona 500?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a youth movement coming in, and which is a good thing. I mean, I hate to see those guys go because they've done so much for our sport. But it's been a while since we've had a really young group getting in good cars and changing the complexion of our sport. So every one of those rookies that have moved up deserve it. I mean, they've paid their dues. They won races, won championships. So it's good to see that in our sport. And it's not all about hype either. I mean, these kids are going to be the ones that you're going to be talking about in the years to come, and they're going to be leading the sport for years to come. So I know as a driver, I mean, we don't like getting shoved out the door. So it just makes us want to perform harder to keep our seat. But it's also very cool to see a big group of rookie class like we've got this year.
Tony texted some of the guys in the winner's circle, too. I thought that was neat.
Go to Matt and then Peter and Jenny.
Matt Weaver, AutoWeek.com. This is for Coach. Coach, what is your memories of first talking to David Wilson about joining Toyota, and now with that kind of being the frame, the conversation in Victory Lane, giving him his first Daytona 500?
Yeah, I think when you decide to do something like that, we were extremely happy. Spent 15 years with GM. It was a great relationship, won championships there. But when we got a chance to do this, it was with GM. You got Rick, you got Childress Organization. We were probably down the list some. We had a chance to talk to Toyota, and when that became a reality, it was really special for us. We had a chance to, if we could distinguish ourselves, to have a great shot to maybe lead with them, and it was a thrill for us. So what you got to remember is they're our biggest partner, our biggest contributor to us being able to race. And so it's just what I said. The thrill I get when you get a call, Fred Smith, and there's a guy that's running one of the biggest corporations and companies in the world. And, you get a chance to talk to him and say, hey, thanks for letting us do this. And then to have all the Toyota guys here was a thrill for us. That for me is the most enjoyable thing out of winning, is seeing people that invest with you and all the time and the resources that they put with us. And then to see them win and be that happy, and get a chance to celebrate, it's really a thrill for me.
We're going to go to Peter, Jenny, and then we'll finish up with Doug in the back.
Coach, over here on your right, Peter King with CBS Radio News. Congratulations. You have just become, I guess, the first to win a football Super Bowl and the Super Bowl of racing. And I can't believe this question waited for me to get asked, but I'm just curious about how similar the feelings were after both wins, and what's different about this besides, obviously, the fact that it's a different sport.
Well, I think in football, I've told people I was more the technical person, and it was a thrill because you got a chance to design plays, call plays on the sideline. I will say this, it's exactly the same when it comes to people, because you win with people. And it's in football, that's the case. And when we came over here, Denny, Mike will tell you, it's our people. And so that part of it doesn't change. It's just that my role changes. I was a technical person in football, so I love that, calling the plays, being in the middle of the storm of the hurricane. And over here, when the race starts, they disconnect my radio, and I walk around with the cord. The cord's dragging on the ground. But I will say this, the thrill is the first of every month trying to pay the bills. So I still get a little of respect there, I think. But it's really different. And of course, the thing over here is different for me is my family. The fact that we're family. I mentioned Coy, JD, all the grandkids run all over the place. We got a new group coming there, and it's going to be fun with them. And so I think that's the difference over here. But you can't separate the thrill. The thrill in football was obviously you can't get any more excited than that, win a Super Bowl. And then I've been blessed beyond belief. I know that. It's the same thrill over here today when we won that. Most people never get to have a dream in life, and I've had two from an occupational standpoint. I'm probably one of the most blessed guys in the world, so I thank the Lord for that.
We'll go to Jenny and take our final question from Doug.
Jenny Rosario with Florida National News. Congratulations again to your team. Knowing that you had such a close race and now you can look back at everything that happened today, is there anything that you would do differently to increase that margin?
No. You want to win the tight ones. That's what makes them special is that, it wouldn't be fun to win. Well, it would be fun to win by a lap, but it's like it's storybook. You make a pass on the last corner of the last lap of the Daytona 500. So that's what makes it so cool. And what Joe was talking about, and something that why this is. All of us drivers are so tight within Joe Gibbs Racing, is that this is what they do. This is their living. This is so heavily invested in our sport, and that's why it's such a proud moment for me to win for the Gibbs family. And he talked about how upset Matt was that he didn't win for Joe, and we all want to win for the Gibbs family because this is what they do. They don't have other businesses, and this is just a hobby. This is what they do, and they've committed everything to this sport. And it's great to see a family organization like this win, the biggest race of the year.
We'll take our final question from Doug.
Thank you. Doug Turnbull, WSU Radio Atlanta. This is actually for Denny and Mike Wheeler. Race fan, huge number 11 team fan, Kim Spriggs asked me to ask, Mike, did you find any nervousness, this being your first ever Cup race and it being on such a big stage? And secondly, Denny, did you ever second guess, not any strategy call, but maybe any adjustments that were made since handling was such an issue today?
I wasn't too nervous. I was actually amazed how not nervous I was. I don't say calm, but, Denny reassured me weeks and years ago that I'm this guy and that I can do the job. Joe's had my back since for a long time since I've been here. So I wasn't nervous because I knew I had a chance of doing it, and all I had to do was do the job. Speed racing is a little bit different from intermediate short track stuff where I am a small part of it. I'm lead guy, but at the same point, the driver and the spotter are the guys that can really dictate the race. To answer the other question before, watching that last 20 laps, I thought our race was over. I knew we wanted to win for Toyota, and that was a big thing for us. And I knew we had to swallow it because we messed up, as a group. We were going to get a top 5 out of that, and I was okay with that. But I was pretty calm in the box because I knew my work was pretty easy compared to other races. Enough time to think about a plan, and we had a plan from a couple days now how we were going to do this. But watching him wheel it the last lap, I was like, that's my boy. He was getting it, and he made it happen.
All right.
I think to answer your question, we didn't have to make a whole lot of adjustments to the car. Obviously, our car handled pretty well. We were able to make that move in the middle of 3 and 4. Every call that was made, was like, that's exactly what I would have done. And I even mentioned to him on the radio about midway, he made a call. I think it was for lefts at some point, and I was like, that's exactly what I was thinking. So we're definitely in tune as far as that's concerned, and I think the crew chiefs, all 4 crew chiefs, did a really good job of planning out the race and planning our tire strategy and all that stuff, and that's why we were all able to stay up front for most of the day. So, like I say, just total team win for sure.
All right, Denny, Mike, and Coach, congratulations on winning the Daytona 500. We look forward to following your celebration this week during Champions Week.
All right, thank you.